Good evening, Dr. Choudhary. We'll start shortly.
Good evening.
Waiting for a few others to join.
Thank you. Good evening, Gaburi.
Good evening.
Good evening, Moshumi. Mute আছে mute.
Moushumi mute.
Sorry. Would you like to check anything? Rimu and Shomrita, I think, is also there. Shomrita, do you have the PowerPoint? Would you like to check anything before starting?
Thanks, Professor Datta. I'm just going to speak to them without a PowerPoint.
Okay. So, and Shurit is there? Not sure. Just a minute. শাশ্বতী, আমি তোমাকে পার্থবাবুর নাম্বারটা দিচ্ছি, উনি না মিটে ঢুকতে পারছেন না। তোমার কি অসুবিধা ফোন করার?
একটাই ফোন, আমার কল করাটা একটু ডিফিকাল্ট। আই থিংক জিসি উইল বেটার। জিসি করতে
হ্যাঁ, আমি করতে পারবো, আমাকে দাও একটু। কিন্তু শাশ্বতী, তাহলে তোকে অ্যাডমিট করতে হবে।
হ্যাঁ, সেটাও করব।
ঠিক আছে,
আমি কানেক্টেড, সো অ্যাডমিট করে দেবো ডেফিনেটলি।
জিসি একটু প্লিজ টেক কেয়ার, হ্যাঁ, অফ পার্থবাবু।
হ্যাঁ, আমি দেখে নিচ্ছি।
And students, Upanita and Kritika are there, the two coordinators.
Yes, ma'am.
And I hope most of you have joined, or just send a message to others so that they understand that we are starting in 2 minutes.
Sure.
We will just wait for Partho Babu for 2-3 minutes, for joining. He is actually our friend of Pasupati SadhuKhan. So every year he comes to the university and just encourage us a lot about the program. He basically works as representative of Mr. Sadhu.
Pasupati Babu.
I think New York time will not match with this time. Otherwise, this time we are doing online, and maybe Pasupati Babu could join us. Let's see what happens. If he can join for at least 15-20 minutes, then also it will be wonderful. let's start. It's 5.
Am I audible? Hello?
Yes.
Yes,
Who are you?
Shukrit here.
Yes. Yeah,
Sorry for
Shukrit
the
is there.
delay.
Yeah.
Shukrit, yes, you are audible.
Sorry for
So
the
we are
delay.
just
Sorry for the delay. Yes, we can
start.
start.
Yeah, no problem. We are just going to start our program.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So Shashwati, may I start or should
Yeah,
I
it's
wait?
almost 5. So I think you can.
Okay, yes. So I welcome you all to the Entrepreneurship Summit organized by the Economics Department, Presidency University, and the Presidency University Entrepreneur Society, which we call PUYES. And somebody, very lovingly called it PUYES. So, Mr. Pasupati SadhuKhan, an alumnus of the Chemistry Department of Artsville Presidency College, had given an endowment to encourage entrepreneurship through a process of industry-academia interaction or interaction with budding entrepreneurs. This objective has been attained by creating an annual forum in the forum of an Entrepreneurship Development Summit where entrepreneurs are invited to interact with and encourage the students to open a new pathway in their career. In today's program, we have invited an academician who is very passionately nurturing the culture of entrepreneurial mindset in her institution, and promising budding entrepreneurs whose experience will encourage potential entrepreneurs amongst you. With these words, I hand over to Dr. Shashwati Mukherjee for coordinating the program. Shashwati.
Thank you, Moushumi. Am I audible to all of you?
Yes, Shashwati.
Okay. So our first speaker for today's evening is Dr. Rimu Choudhary from Heritage Business School. And to introduce her, I will request Upanita Barman to say a few words about her.
Thank you, ma'am. Dr. Rimu Choudhary is an associate professor of economics at the Heritage Business School. She is also the coordinator of the Entrepreneurship Development Cell at the Heritage Business School and also a core member of the Women Task Force CII. She has completed her PhD in economics from Burdwan University. She has extensive research experience and is also a visiting scholar at EDI Ahmedabad. She has done some exemplary work in the field of economics and entrepreneurship development, and her achievements are absolutely admirable. She was one of the witnesses in the Memorandum of Understanding ceremony between the Protiman Nima Memorial Foundation, Rupandehi, Nepal, and Heritage Business School, Kolkata. She received the E-Week Premier Impact Award Star Faculty at the Entrepreneurship Week 2016, organized by the National Entrepreneurship Network. She was also the coordinator of the seminar on Women in Metro Breaking the Glass Ceiling, organized jointly by the Heritage Business School and EDI. Apart from that, she has presented numerous extraordinary publications in the field of entrepreneurship development and economics. It is a pleasure to have you here with us, ma'am.
Thank you, Upanita. Thank you very much for such introduction. And a very, very good evening to one and all present here, all my professional colleagues, everybody, all my beloved students, and ladies and gentlemen, Shashwati, Gaguri, everybody, and for such generous introduction. I don't know whether I have done so much work or not, but Upanita introduced me so generously. Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me and for giving me the opportunity for sharing my experience as an academician and as an activist in this particular field from last 2 decades. And I would like to thank Professor Moushumi Dotto, especially for connecting me and continuously she was in touch with me. So thank you, Professor Dotto. Uh, yes, I am a teacher of entrepreneurship development, and my formal background is economics. And I am the head of the entrepreneurship sale of Heritage Business School from 2013. But you know that today I'm just sharing my experience of last 20 years in this field, and so many good things are there, bad things are there. So this is not conference, so I am not presenting any research paper, but I am just sharing my experience. uh, I am also a student of economics, so you all know that entrepreneurship or entrepreneur, this word is not new for us. When we started learning about economics, entrepreneurship was there, very much there. But if you see the trend of the society, trend of the business environment, you will see that from last couple of years, almost 9 to 10 years, you will see that the term entrepreneurship, startup, innovation, these are the buzzwords. And you know that these are very fashionable word, very sexy word, and we think that if we use these terms, that means we will be in fashion. And if you go to any seminar, I'm not talking about academic conference, but generally when I go to any seminar, any, the business meeting, even when I go to faculty orientation program, refresher course, I have seen that from last couple of years, a separate session is organized for entrepreneurship development. So I asked myself that what is going on? Because from last couple of years, we know entrepreneurship was there in economics, but from last couple of years, always we are talking about entrepreneurship, startup, the innovation. So what is going on? That means we want to achieve something. And you know that this is my opinion that actually we are trying to create entrepreneurial eco culture within our society. This is the main objective. That means we are trying to inculcate the ecosystem of entrepreneurship development. But unfortunately, I'm telling you, and I'm sorry to say that in last 20 years, I have seen less than 1% student, they have opted entrepreneurship as their career option. This is very micro level observation of mine. So I asked repeatedly to myself that what is going wrong. We are trying our level best to create the ecosystem, but the picture is not at all rosy. Very, very, very few students, they are opting entrepreneurship as their career option. Either we are wrong or something is going wrong in the system. And what I observed that there is a gap between the objective of creating entrepreneurial culture, ecosystem in the society, and the method actually we are taking to create this ecosystem. Suppose you are a student, and if you come to college with a definite mindset, and if I say that you please go for entrepreneurship, this is very normal that the students think, or the young generation, they think that we are not in a position to provide job, or our society is not in a position to provide job. So we are pushing our young generation towards entrepreneurship. And if you ask me, I think that this is a negative vibe because we are starting from a negative point. That means we will not be able to provide jobs. So you please go for entrepreneurship. And if this signal goes to the student, that means we are pushing them towards necessity based entrepreneurship. Now, Now, what is necessity-based entrepreneurship? Necessity-based entrepreneurship means when you are going for entrepreneurship or you are starting your own business, but I'm telling you that entrepreneurship always does not mean that business. The term entrepreneurship can be used in a broad sense, but generally we use the term as the business venture. So if we give the signal that you will not be able to get the job, so you please go for entrepreneurship, that means you are not taking entrepreneurship by choice, just by compulsion. So this is called necessity based entrepreneurship. And as soon as we are focusing on necessity based entrepreneurship, then the ambitious will be very, that means they are less, generally this is our perception, and research says that they will be less ambitious. But we need to focus on opportunity based entrepreneurship. Opportunity based entrepreneurship means when we are focusing on those entrepreneurs, those who are trying to opt entrepreneurship by choice, and those who are grabbing the opportunity and then they're commercializing, they're so innovative. And if you focus on opportunity based entrepreneur, the impact will be very high impact. But I am not telling you that you will not focus on necessity based entrepreneur, because our society is different, our economy is different. So, yes, we have to create the roadmap in such a way, the method should be different. Our roadmap should be created in such a way that fine, for short term we can focus on necessity based entrepreneurship, and then within 3.5 years or 3 to 4 years we should turn them into opportunity based entrepreneurship. Because in your life also you will see that sometimes we do something out of compulsion, but you know that when we are in the process, then we are innovative, then it becomes our passion. So we have to change our social environment, we need to change our mindset. Now the question is, ma'am, how we will change our mindset? You know that suppose you are coming to Presidency University. If I ask you that where you are getting your admit for economics, and if you say that Presidency University, the immediate answer will be, oh great, that means I am appreciating you, I am appreciating not only you, I am appreciating your hard work, I am appreciating your merit. But if you see our society, you will see that if a young entrepreneur, if they are struggling, at the stage of struggling, nobody appreciates them, nobody appreciates them. So you need to know that we can change the mindset, we can change the environment. If we can take the small steps, if we can appreciate them, then at least we can contribute in creating the ecosystem of the entrepreneurship development. This is one problem I have seen. Now the next problem that I have experienced, that uh, there is a, we sometimes think that what can we do, but we all can do something, we all can contribute. How? This is not very complicated economics. We all are, teaching economics, you are reading economics, but there is no, the complicated issues in this, that if we want to grow, if we want to grow our economy, if we want to grow our nation, we need to increase the volume of business. This is very simple. And to know this, there is no need to read economics. We need to increase the volume of business. If the volume of business increases, then the job opportunity will increase. If job opportunity increases, standard of living will increase, and the whole nation will move forward. And if you think that we are getting job, we are at the safe hand, you don't know after 10 years our job will be at stake. So we can also contribute in different ways. I'm just giving you another example. I have seen that so many young technopreneurs are there. Who are technopreneurs? Technopreneurs, those who are, starting their own venture on the basis of technology. So some technopreneurs are there. They're very good in technology. They are having bright ideas, unique ideas, but they don't know whether the idea is economically feasible, financially feasible, or not. Now, as a student of economics, as a teacher of economics, we can contribute. We can contribute because if we can collaborate and if we can help those startups, because sometimes they don't have money, they don't have fund, so they cannot afford the money to hire people for economic feasibility study. So if you can help them in doing the economic feasibility study, there will be win-win situation. That means you are also getting data, you can also publish paper, you can also work, you are also doing very good project and first-hand data, and they can also get the help. This is very simple example I have given. In this way, each and every member of the society, we can contribute. And if we all contribute, I am sure that the entrepreneurial ecosystem can be properly nurtured. This is my opinion. This is absolutely my opinion, and this is my observation. Uh, and so many other problems also there. Now, I'm just going back to my second point. That means the necessity based entrepreneur and opportunity based entrepreneur. Initially, I thought this is my observation at very, very micro level. But if you see the 2021 report, the GAME report, Global Entrepreneurship Report of 2021, you will see this is not the micro level problem, this is the macro level problem also. In so many countries, mainly in the developing countries, you will see where the major part of the economy is informal economy, unorganized economy. Most of the entrepreneurs, most of the startups are necessity based entrepreneurs. And as in these countries, most of the entrepreneurs are necessity based entrepreneurs, so the impact level is very, very less. That means that we need to change the motivation thing, because if you go to the developed countries, you will see that their motivation of going towards entrepreneurship is to change the world. But if you see the motivation of the emerging economy or the developing economy, you will see their motivation is to survive. So there is a huge difference in the motivation level of the entrepreneurs of different countries. So you can do extensive research in this particular field, you can get data, and if this is my earnest request to all of you, that if we can do proper research in this field, this is also a very good area of economics, and we can hit the policy, and our policy, that we can change the policy, and by changing the policy, we can that we can change the necessity based entrepreneur into opportunity based entrepreneur. Thank you. I would like to end my the talk over here. I don't want to waste your time because very young, bright entrepreneurs are there. They will be talking their journey, and I have shared my experience only as an academician and as a teacher and as an activist. So if you help me and if you help us in this process, I will be very happy. I will be very happy if you connect me. We can do lot of works in this particular field, and we can get data, we can work, we can analyze, and we can move forward. Thank you very much. I am closing my talk over here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Choudhary. That was very, very interesting and delightful, because most of the time in PUYES, we get the chance to interact with the real life heroes or who actually went through this entrepreneurship, you said. And today also we had very three young ones. But as academicians ourselves, we are often interested in, the other side of the table, how to bring this thing flavor into academics also. And maybe, I don't know, in the future, if presidency can introduce such a paper, then probably we will be knocking at your door. So uh, okay, so I'll open the floor for discussion and question answers. So I think we have one of our students, Udita Bhattacharya. She has raised her. Udita, please go ahead with the question.
Yes, Udita.
Good evening, ma'am. Thank you so
Good
much for
evening,
coming
Udita.
here.
Bolo, Udita.
Ma'am, I had a question. You talked about policy decisions in incentivizing need based entrepreneurs to go into opportunity based, but I was thinking that a lot of these need based entrepreneurs, like, what about their in general behavior which leads them to go more into need based rather than, say, opportunity based because of risks associated? How do we sort of change that
Uh,
low risk mentality?
Udita, this is very important question, and this is the problem. Actually, immediately in short run, you cannot change. In short run, you cannot change, and our social environment, our the physical environment, everything they're completely different. So immediately we cannot change the society, but that slowly you can change. And if that if you are in the process in the need based entrepreneurship, right now you will not understand, but if you are in the process you will understand that automatically, you will feel that so many innovative ideas are there, so that you can jump into another idea. Initially you have started out of compulsion, but eventually you are turning into opportunity based entrepreneur. And regarding the policy, that I have seen, this is my experience, I have seen that sometimes some of the students, not some of the students, some of the entrepreneurs, they are thinking to do something new, something innovative. That does not mean they are inventor, they are innovator, but they are not getting support, proper support from government. So if we can do some policy research, that will be great.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
We can have a few more questions before we move on to the next one. Anyone else?
Gigi.
Yes, ma'am. I have a question, ma'am. Ma'am, well, you told that it's the entrepreneurship that's the only thing which is the need of the hour for our economy, because our economy needs to grow, right? Ma'am, one thing I just want to ask you, ma'am. Actually, it's a doubt which I am facing. Like you told that it is more jobs are being created by entrepreneurships, right? Now, ma'am, in the entrepreneurship circle, ma'am, what's happening, ma'am? If we just view it from a classical view of economics, not the neoclassical one, from a classical one, if we see it, and then we can also understand that uh, in the entrepreneurship, the traditional entrepreneurship process, which we understand by entrepreneurship, there, ma'am, the values of the values which is being added to the raw materials to get the finished products is being added by the workers, but it's also the entrepreneur who deserves the credit for that. Ma'am, can't we think a thing like social entrepreneurship, which like in India was started by Varghese Kurin in case of Amul, or some other cases we have seen, the cases of social entrepreneurship where workers are getting their rights, but also it is also an entrepreneurship because it is also starting of a new firm. So, ma'am, can we make social entrepreneurship our main goal? Because, ma'am, I think, ma'am, it can uh, uh, enrich our economy in a much deep root way.
Audrey, great, great. Because right now we are looking for more and more social entrepreneur, and I think that after my talk, I think that Shomrita will be talking, and she's doing extensive work in this particular field. So you have rightly pointed out that right now we need to focus on social entrepreneurship. Definitely.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you. We have Shomudip Paul. Shomudip, you can ask the
Yes,
question.
Shomodi.
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, everybody. Ma'am, my question is that we should concentrate first on changing the need-based entrepreneurs into the opportunity-based, or should we concentrate on changing the economy? Because as you told, the developed countries, the entrepreneurs are they think of changing the world, but in the emerging economies, they think of just surviving. So is it not important to first focus on developing the economy? Because if we look into China, who is our neighbor, it has much more population than us. It also has a communist-based government, which is far more different than ours. We, in spite of having a democratic government, we do not have so much entrepreneurs as Chinese have. So should it not be the main goal to first develop the economy and then focus on changing the need-based entrepreneurs to the opportunity-based?
Yes, Shomodeep, you please see I will send you the report of 2021, the GEM report published by Babson College, that right now we need to focus on need-based entrepreneur, necessity-based entrepreneur, just to grow our economy. And then we have to think, we must have the roadmap so that we can turn the necessity-based entrepreneur into opportunity-based entrepreneur. So you have raised a very good point and very good question, as as a student of economics, and I would like to share the report with you so that you will get the whole picture, that how the each economy, they are changing from necessity based entrepreneur to opportunity based entrepreneur. But currently we need to focus on necessity based, but side by side. You cannot only focus on necessity based entrepreneur. Side by side, you also have to think about opportunity based entrepreneur, because some of the entrepreneurs are there, they are very passionate and they are taking entrepreneurship by choice. So you must have a clear roadmap and clear, the support system for them, and they're having high impact. So I will share the report to you. Okay, Shomodeep?
Thank you, ma'am. One more thing, ma'am. What happens in India is that most of the children who are after passing out colleges, they focus mainly on highly paying jobs and not on opportunity based entrepreneurship. And
That is
that's
the
the reason
problem.
that opportunity based entrepreneurs are facing problem in India, because most of the children go to the companies and the companies are ruling over India, and not and the opportunity based entrepreneurs are not getting chance.
Exactly. So I have said now that I have seen so many, the technical students, they are having bright ideas. And I'm just sharing, I think that Shukrit knows that just few days back, we were having one B plan competition, and one group was there, and they were having a brilliant idea, and they're all the technical students, and they were having brilliant idea. They have already started, but as soon as Sukrit told them that I would love to, the connect you, immediately they said that we have already in job, so we will not continue. Shomandeep, I think that this is the point, Shomandeep, that raised. Sukrit, I think that you were there, no? The B plan competition. The same thing happened.
Yes, 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 yes. Yes, I was there. So what I noticed that a lot of people presented their plans and everything, but they already had jobs from their.
Sukrit, you are not audible properly.
Sukrit, I think your voice is getting disconnected. Yeah.
Am I audible? Hello?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, now better. Yeah.
Yes. So what I'm saying is that in the last seminar that we were there, a lot of students kind of presented their business models and all of that, but all of those students already had jobs. So that was very disheartening. I didn't know that before. I was very interested in their projects, but right after the seminar, I just asked them, when are you planning to start, or what's the next step? And they were like, we already have jobs. So that was very disheartening for me.
Thank you, Sukrit.
Ah.
Thank you, Dr. Chaudhary. Do you have any other question?
I think that Sana.
Yeah,
Sana
good
is here.
evening,
Yes.
everybody. I have a question. Ma'am, could you give your insight on women entrepreneurs in India?
I am passionate about women entrepreneurship, but this is a different area. This is completely not different area, but sub area of entrepreneurship. So, if you are interested to work on women entrepreneurship, or if you are interested to know about women entrepreneurship, I think we need to discuss later, because this is completely our first area and we need to discuss a lot about women entrepreneurship. And if you talk about women entrepreneurs, you will see, because just few years back, I have written one paper in which I have tried to show that in case of women entrepreneurs in general, I have seen that they are extremely gender stereotyped. They're extremely gender stereotyped. And I have seen that, I'm again telling you the data I received. On the basis of the data, I concluded that most of the women entrepreneurs, they are, they're mainly in boutique and this and that, but they are not doing something innovative or something different. And there is a difference between the entrepreneurship and business. There is a difference. So this is my observation and the findings of my data. But yes, in case of women entrepreneurship, there are so many different types of challenges. And the another question is of mine, that why women entrepreneur? Why? That means we are trying to, we are creating a demarcation between men entrepreneur and women entrepreneur. Why women? So separate types of challenges are there. So if you want to discuss about women entrepreneurship, yes, I am ready to discuss, but I think that currently we don't have much time. So definitely I would love to discuss about women entrepreneurship, Sana. Thank you so much, ma'am.
One last question, I think.
Yeah.
Shomodip, keep it short. I think we are running short of time, so we have to move to the next speaker. Shomodip, if you have a short, brief question, yes.
Ma'am, as you told
Shomodip, you there?
that, yes, ma'am.
Shomodip.
Yes, as you told that most of the business models were presented by who are in the job at right now. So that means that they are more concerned about high pay scale and job security. If that remains the main concern for the students, then it is almost impossible to convert the students into the opportunity based entrepreneurs.
Not impossible, Somodi. Possible. Not impossible. Possible. But we need to take different types of steps and simultaneously different types of steps. Okay. Not impossible. Not at all. Because I can give you another example where they're getting high, they're getting salary, salary, but still they are not taking job. I can give you so many examples. They're extremely passionate, huh? And they are all technical students. They're all technical students. But yes, this is a general problem. Yes, this is a general problem, and here we have to move. We need to move. We have to fight. We have to fight.
Thank you, Dr.
Thanks, ma'am.
Chaudhary. So that was lovely question answer session. Next, we move on to our next speaker, Mr. Shukrit Prodar, and he is the founder of the very popular Hangout for the Youngsters of Kolkata. Not for the youngsters, for the oldies like us also. So, the Chai Wala, and his recent initiative and the venture is the Bong Nanny. And to introduce him, we have Kritika Ghosh of our university. Yes.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Mr. Sukrit Poddar is the owner and founder of a chain of cafes called the Chaiwala, as well as the Bonnie, a unique, one-of-a-kind of concept of a cloud kitchen aiming to serve a wide range of scrumptious, authentic Bengali cuisine. He has completed his schooling from the Julian Day School and has graduated from Vishwabharati University. Our panelist here has always had dreams different from his peers in his childhood. With one of his old classmates and a senior of his college, he founded the Chaiwala, one of the most busiest and famous spots for the teens today in Sydney. Our panelist did not stop there and went ahead with another successful venture called the Bong Nanny, which primarily focuses at delivering delectable Bengali cuisine at our doorsteps. Besides being a successful entrepreneur, he's also a devoted and admirable social worker. He and his team continually extend a helping hand to people in need and assist them in every way possible. It's a pleasure to have you here today, sir. Over to you.
Thank you, Kritika. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Am I audible? Yes. Okay. First of all, I'd like to say hello and good evening to all my fellow speakers, faculty members, and everyone else. Uh, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Professor Moushumi Datto and the Eco Department of Presidency University for organizing such an event, letting me be a part of it, and allowing me to connect and share my experience with like-minded people. I hope to, encourage and motivate all the students here, and in the process, probably learn a thing or two as well. Uh, to start with, I'd like to mention that the sole purpose of, me agreeing to be a part of this is to be able to share my story in a way that is relatable for everyone else. People who are kind of scared to start, they're thinking whether to start up or not. I just want to kind of push them over that you go ahead and start. Uh, uh, I agree to what Rimudi said earlier. Uh, the idea is to somewhat desensitize the term entrepreneurship. Uh, it is only then, we can possibly develop a healthier ecosystem wherein startups and businesses can flourish. It is like the need of the hour: entrepreneurship, startups. We have to normalize situations wherein individuals are working to give shape to their business models. Mane, these are very conventional, generic things. Right in the beginning of this seminar, we were referred to as the heroes. I don't want that to happen. We are not heroes. We are just doing regular thing. Uh, um, but you shouldn't mistake this, with words of encouragement. Like if your friend is trying to start up, you go ahead and encourage them. That is fine. But there's no need to unnecessarily uh, take these words or give these words podium status. It's that's not what I personally want to happen. Um, I would like to compare this to how our government reacts to athletes winning medals in the Olympics. It's somewhat like that. They're showered with all kinds of monetary gifts, media coverages, and they get all the possible attention, but only after they have achieved something commendable. I'm sure if you were to ask these athletes, they would rather have all this support when they were struggling to find better infrastructure, better coaching, probably medical attention, things like that. Yeah. So we need to focus on building support system instead of all the post win appreciation. I mean, the beginning is the difficult part. When you've already gone through your journey, so much of uh, I don't know, appreciation is not required, I believe. uh, just to give you numbers, in 2016, India had only 2 medals, whereas US had 120, Britain had probably 60. In 2020, India had 7 medals only, and other countries, they had probably 120, 100, many medals. Anyway, uh, as an entrepreneur, one might have to face a dozen challenges every day on a regular basis. And I don't have any handbook, or there's no formula as such to building a successful startup. Uh, an entrepreneur's life is about taking decisions all the time. And what I feel is it's mostly about taking the decision, not looking back, and working hard to uh, make that the right decision, something like that. Uh, the key factors, I could summarize a few key factors which I would like to highlight so that it makes it easy for people to uh, come in to this world of entrepreneurship.
Shubhrit,
So
you're getting a little.
yes, am I
Yeah,
audible?
now it's better. Yeah.
Okay. I think to start with, the most important thing is the idea of what you are getting yourself invested into. You have to check the economic sustainability of it, whether it is viable or not, the scalability at a future stage, whether you'll be able to scale up your idea or not. Uh, there should be thorough market research on possible competitions. Uh, Study the data as much as possible for your clientele. Uh, and most importantly, what we sometimes miss is whether there's a real demand for your product or your service or your idea. Even if it's a good one, it might not be in demand. Case at hand would be Orkut. Orkut and Facebook came around at the same time. In fact, if I'm not wrong, Orkut actually came in a lot uh, ahead of Facebook, but they failed. They failed to survive. So that would be one thing. And if there's a production or manufacturing aspect which is involved with your idea, then apart from all the number crunching and the strategies, what really matters is the core product that you're developing. At the end of the day, this is what is going to drive your startup forward. And I think as an individual or as a group, you should be really interested in the idea or the core product that is there. Uh, One shouldn't just jump into something because they see, the possible money that they will be able to earn out of it. That shouldn't be the driving force. You should be passionate about the product, the work. uh, if it's a tech company, then I guess coding, things like that. And it's very important, I feel, to figure out things on the grassroots level, so that at a later stage, it becomes easier to solve issues and problems as and when they arise. uh, a little bit on marketing strategies as well. Of course, we can hire professionals to do the job for us. Uh, this is where all the 21st century things, data, social media, artificial intelligence come into play. um, and underestimating the importance of any of these digital powerhouses would be a real big mistake on our part. And things like real-time marketing, especially the role of Instagram and the likes of it. If done right, it can generate surprising results. Uh, the other aspect, I think, which I personally, feel even to this day, and I look up to Shomrita for that, it's about delegation and time management. It really is an art to be able to delegate work uh, and manage your time to perfection. I genuinely fail to do this even to this day, and Shomrita has literally mastered the art of it, and I'm sure she'll be able to highlight this more. Uh, I'd also like to add that, in spite of the sole proprietor of Chaiwala and doing business for over 6 years, I've personally felt that uh, it's important to have partners to be able to scale up your business in a shorter span of time. This can be tricky, as the wrong partner can pull you and your idea down, but the right choice of person can give additional wings to your venture. It is always good to have more than one mind working in synchronization. And finally, the sales aspect of a business. This is somewhat more like a report card of all the hard work that you do, uh, targeting your specific customers, placing your product or service in the right price bracket, uh, especially in a country like India, where the majority of the consumers are, price sensitive. Uh, we could, come up with membership plans, loyalty programs, things like that, to kind of generate repeat sales. It is important to acquire new customers, but it is more important to ensure that they keep coming back to you. And this is where branding, I believe, plays a vital role to help increase your numbers there. And apart from all the radical aspects of business that I was talking about all this time, there are certain human characteristics as well. I think very basic things like, setting your priorities straight, having the patience to sail through difficult times, and especially if you can, if possible, like get a mentor. I mean, It's a additional brownie point if you have a mentor. It really helps. Uh, Here, I'll like to share my story with Chaiwala and how things happened. Initially, I wanted to open a restaurant right after finishing high school, but I was sent off to Shantiniketan for my higher studies. And looking back at it now, I think it was probably like a blessing in disguise. Since I could meet and interact with people from different parts of the country. There were people coming from other countries as well, and thanks to the hybrid environment there, that I think Shantiniketan, uh, it largely contributed towards the development of my own aesthetic consciousness, I'd say. And it was actually in Shantiniketan that my interest in cooking grew. So as I was living there alone, and I was kind of in a sticky situation wherein I had to cook for myself on a regular basis, and I think it was during my postgrads that I uh, met this friend who was Thailand, and he used to be a five-star chef there. He actually quit his job at the time to come to Shantiniketan and pursue his dreams of becoming a fine artist. So we kind of bonded over movies, and quite often we'd have dinner together. And I mean, like I'd cook Indian meals for him. He'd show me some of his tricks with Thai food, and I got to learn a lot about the basics of food and cooking from him. And the other thing that happened in Shantiniketan was due to the lack of urbanization, we were mostly dependent on uh, human interaction. I mean, there was literally nothing to do. There was no restaurant, no malls, there's nothing for amusement as such. So we'd heavily depend on human interaction. Anyway, moving on. Uh, After finishing my course, I came back to Calcutta, and my parents were like, what do you want to do now? And 6 years, two history of art degrees later, I was like stuck with my initial career choice of starting up a cafe and restaurant. And thankfully, I was able to save up some money through my photography assignments during college. And some of it I borrowed from my friends and family. And I'm very thankful to them that I'm able to live my dream today. Uh, but I'd also take this opportunity to mention that I was able to return whatever I borrowed within a year of starting up. And technically, this also means that we broke even. I think within 9 or 10 months, we were able to recover everything we invested. Uh, it took us a while to set up our first outlet, and um, we actually did a lot of work there ourselves. Shomrita, she was around at the time, and she would quite often visit and advise me on this and that, and we'd have a debate. Uh, so things like basic things like painting the walls, polishing the wood, very very simple things, and we did it on our own because we were very much short on budget. And over the past 5 years, we were able to expand in Southern Avenue and Hatibagan, and let's see what the future holds for us. Uh, Most of it has been learning on the job. Uh, I had no prior experience of running an eatery or even cooking professionally for that matter, and I'd like to highlight the fact here that it is not important to be institutionalized per se. You know, especially in today's world, information and knowledge is very much accessible thanks to platforms like Google and YouTube. Uh, the most important thing is to have an inherent interest in whatever you are planning on doing. You should be passionate about it. Otherwise, I think you might be stuck in a soup. And uh, as far as COVID is concerned, apart from the fact that it took away a lot of livelihoods of so many people, and we lost people close to us. It was in business terms, yes, of course, we lost revenues. We were shut for a long time, and there were restrictions and all of that, but I think it was still a blessing in disguise because I think I personally got the time to, reflect, um, analyze things as simple as cash flow, and I could come up with ways on how to optimize our operations, and actually, end of the day, it it helped us generate more revenues. Anyway, and that is where Bong Nanny came into play because I was working on ideas, like how I could optimize the kitchen that we have. We could probably do more cuisines, and we have a few more uh, plans lined up. But uh, while introducing me, Kritika mentioned that the Bong Nanny is a huge success. It's not a success yet. Uh, it's just a experiment that we were doing to understand uh, the need for such a product actually. So we have we have some data to study now, so we'll take that and use that and take it forward from there. Apart from this, I think there are a few basic mistakes that people make while starting up. And I also made that mistake, and I did end up paying a huge price for that. A lot of the times, people do not pay enough attention to the legal aspect of establishing a business. If possible, hire a lawyer, probably the best you can afford, and let them do their job. Trust me, this is going to be the best investment that you could possibly make in your whole business career. And to some extent, this can be compared to building a house. Your legal due diligence is equivalent to the foundation of a building. If the foundation of your building is not done properly, it's gonna tumble over at some point in time. So most people ignore this, but it shouldn't be ignored. Also, sometimes when we are starting up individually, we do not have the time or the resources or the means to do so much of uh, you know uh, analysis and study and all of that. So we end up making a very basic mistake of underestimating our capital fund investments. Even the best of business plans, if you chalk out, it is advisable that you add another 25-30% to your budget, because you will incur unseen expenses, and if you don't account for that, you will be stuck then. uh, I have also seen a lot of promising startups fail because of their inability to raise capital at a later point in time. Or maybe they did not fail as such, they're still there, but they're kind of in a loop. They're not being able to come out of that loop. And in order to be able to come out of that loop, uh, it's important to be able to raise funds at one point in time. I mean, say for case at like if you look at Swiggy and Zomato, they had they not been able to uh, raise funds in the manner they have, they wouldn't be existing today. I mean, even to this day, they are loss-making companies, uh, and I personally believe that their valuations are somewhat inflated. But big multinational finance companies, they are able to like fund them in the hopes of future profitability. Uh, I would like to end with saying that there's this one very single word, but one very important single word, but it's important nonetheless. That is luck. And when I say luck, but by that I mean to say that one needs to be in the right place at the right time, taking the right decisions, saying the right things, and this technically also implies that your luck is in your own hands. You can't be waiting for opportunities to come to you. You go ahead and pave the way for yourself. Uh, and this is all the gyan part, that do this, do that, do this. This is right, this is wrong, and all that. But more than anything else, I think it's important to start. The rest of it can be, it follows, it automatically follows. But the most important thing is to start. And I'd like to end on that note. Any questions, please?
Thank you, Shukrit, for such an insightful talk, and especially mentioning how investing in legal team can be a very good decision, especially a very crucial decision for your business venture, and how getting capital in the later phases can also play a very important role how you can grow, which we often see that. Many businesses fail to raise that capital, and that actually works. Sometimes stops their growth and their expansion. Okay, so we have many hands raised already. So let me start first with Abhishekta. Abhishekta, can you just ask a question? After that, we have
Yes, ma'am.
Udita. Yeah.
Good evening, sir. Sir, I would like to ask what advice would you give a 20 or 21-year-old maybe who would dream to establish a food chain and be a successful entrepreneur?
I think it's all there, but you should be genuinely interested in food. If you're not interested in food, don't do it for the money that you see. You think you'll be able to earn, because I'll tell you, it's a lot of hard work. So if you're not interested in food, you will think it's hard work, and you will just probably quit. Uh, and most important advice would be just start. Just start. Start
Thank
with
you, sir.
Next, we
whatever means
have
you have.
Udita. Yeah.
Sir, you mentioned about a lawyer. Now, that is something I did not expect to be mentioned in a business strategy summit. So, can I just ask what sort of inputs does a lawyer give to a business that is very important to invest in?
How do I put this across? Actually, the lawyer will not sit. I mean, how do I put this? It's like the blueprint of a building. If you are to build a house or any structure, you'd need a blueprint. So your lawyer will actually uh, figure out a lot of things for you which you don't know. Uh, could be licenses, could be all the compliance that you have to meet, and there are a lot of things to a business. On the other side of the table, there are a lot of compliances that we have to meet on a regular basis, and I don't know whether it's lucky for us or unlucky for us. Uh, Government bodies are not that active in India. I mean, like it is way more difficult to start a business in a developed country than in India. Out here you can just kind of bust certain laws and not comply, and you can still be running your business for a long time. But in the US or in any developed country as such, there's a lot of compliance that you have to meet. There are going to be regular inspections, and if you don't comply, you will be stuck. So my advice will be get a lawyer. He's going to you know guide you through the process.
Thank you. Shamoli, can you ask your question?
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Mr. Putter, for that wonderful narration with such great instances. So, to set a little bit of context for my question, I would imagine that every startup, whether it's an innovation or it's somebody trying to break into a competitive market where similar products already exist, I would imagine every startup will have its own product, which comes with its own set of USPs, and that will reflect in the branding. But
Yes.
how, and like you said, market research is the first and the most crucial stage of an entrepreneurship journey. So, how, and I would imagine that at the prototyping stage, a lot of how fruitful that market research was would be reflected. Could you provide a little bit of insight on the prototyping stage, which shows how the product will actually function when released?
Hmm. See, in my case, uh, I kind of just started, and I was faced with a lot of challenges because uh, I had no idea about we never had professionals working uh, with the interiors or probably like designing the kitchen. Like I'm giving my own personal experience, so we never had professionals that way because we were short on funds. So I would say, as and I got stuck with certain problems, I had to, consult people or research on it and find an answer at that point in time. I mean, you'll have to improvise, even if you do a lot of prototyping, a lot of business planning, and everything. Uh, at the end of the day, you will have to improvise as and when a situation arises. uh, I'd give you a small example here. If you have any architect friend, just have a word with him. A lot of the times, what happens is, if a client, is hiring an architect to design a house for him and all of that, even after the plan has been changed uh, a gazillion times, probably, even after the plan has been sanctioned, uh, while the building is being built, clients still demand or ask for changes to be made. And this happens also because with time our vision also changes. New ideas pop up, or we come across new ideas, things like that. So with business also, you might have a very elaborate plan. You might do all types of prototyping and business research and all that. This will only prove as a groundwork. You cannot stick to it forever and expect to have a successful startup. You'll have to improvise as and when the situation arises. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, yes, it does. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
We can have one last question from Shomudip. One last question.
Thank you, ma'am. So my question is that every business, every startup requires some fund. So the entrepreneurs look for investors who can invest on them. So what's the main thing that the investors look when they invest into you? And my second question is that as an entrepreneur, what should we concentrate more on, the pros of our business or the cons of our business?
I think life is about balance. You just cannot focus on the pros and ignore the cons absolutely, or you just can't like focus on cons and forget about the pros. You'll have to have a balance between the two. And as far as investments are concerned, uh, it's not very easy. It's not very difficult. You can't have I mean, like, you don't expect to get investments right at one go. And you'll have to sit through several meetings. Probably they'll ask you a few questions. uh, I mean, of course, they will ask you a few questions. They'll ask for numbers, they'll ask for statistics, this, that, and all of that. I have never been through an investment round, so I wouldn't be able to say much. But for investors, what they basically see is, if they're investing something in your company, what are the returns that they are getting? This is the bottom line of it. If I'm paying 1 rupee to you, what's the return that I'm getting in 5 years time? That's what matters for them. And of course, there's the social and other social aspect, and whether the company is actually changing lives or adding something uh, to our regular lives and things like that. But bottom line is, as an investor, they would see what kind of returns this company can possibly generate in 3, 4, 5 years time. Yes.
Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you, Shukrit. That was very, very interesting and a very uh, like real life, feel good. You have been through a lot, and you have shared all those experiences, all the pros and cons, and all the ups and the downs, everything. Thank you so much. Next, we move on to a very interesting like speaker. I'm saying interesting because I have certain past experience with her, and really want to share that. So this is probably the year 2010 or 11, I don't remember. And one of my friend was reading this Dan Brown book, and I told him that I want that. And he offered me the book and said, no, no, don't give me the book. Where do you get that bookmark from? And he said, it's, don't you know, this is one of the girls, she's selling. And which class, which department? Our department. Which year is she in? Yeah, and probably, and then that's the story how we started knowing Shomrita. And that's the story of Paper Cup. And during that time, I remember she used to sell small, very unique bookmarks. and it became very, very popular overnight in the entire UG Arts building of Jadavpur University. And her passion grew. I think now when Moshumi Dr. Professor Datta said that we are going to invite her, I was like, yeah, definitely do. I know her. And I never had the idea that she's now the big shot entrepreneur. And definitely, it's a really a pleasure to have someone from Jadavpur University and whom I have actually seen starting the venture, and it actually materialized in such a nice way. So to welcome her, we have Shompriti Pal from our department. Shompriti.
First of all, a very good evening to all. Today I'm going to talk about Ms. Shomrita Guho. Ms. Shomrita Guho is the founder and the Chief Happiness Officer of Paper Cup, a product design company which aims to spread development. The products are handmade by young girls from North Calcutta slums who are provided training in creative skills. The company name comes from a Beatles song, Across the Universe. Paper Cup also hold poetry slams, exhibitions, and charity events under the company's umbrella. Ms. Guho completed her graduation in economics from Jadavpur University. She started her business when she was just 19 years old as a passion project with her friends, debuting at the college JU Fest, Sanskriti. The positive response and the satisfaction she got from running Paper Cup made Ms. Guho serious about turning it into a formal business venture. Back then, Kolkata was not a startup hub, and she faced a lot of cajoling to go for a 9-to-5 job, but through her persistence and passion, she launched Paper Cup. Today, Paper Cup is a well-known e-commerce website for corporate gifts with a touch of heritage and has been featured in several newspapers like India Today, Telegraph, U-Story, T2, and Business India. Aside from being an entrepreneur, Ms. Guho is also an active public speaker. Her stories revolve around women empowerment, sustainability, community building, and startups. In her free time, she loves to travel to the mountains. She considers her father as her biggest supporter and her mother as her biggest critic, who have helped her to be the entrepreneur she is today. It's a pleasure to have you, ma'am. The floor is yours.
Shompriti, over to you. Yes. Sorry, Shomrita. Sorry, Shompriti. Shompriti is not. Yes.
Head of the Department of Economics, members of the faculty, respected panelists, esteemed academicians, students of the Department of Economics, members of Presidency University Young Entrepreneur Society, a couple of future Nobel laureates, ladies and gentlemen. Let me convey my heartfelt gratitude for inviting me to speak at Entrepreneurship Summit 2021. It is indeed an absolute honor to be a part of this august, albeit virtual gathering this evening. I must admit that it's also a tad bit intimidating to be in a panel with professors of economics and also to have an audience that comprises largely of students of economics, as this is the exact class of people that I tried my level best to avoid in my university days. The paradox, however, is this, that I too, much like most of you, is a student of economics. I went to a different university, sort of similar to yours, about 10 years back. Though I went to a different university, your university, Presidency College, then called Presidency College, has been an integral part of my formative years of becoming an entrepreneur. From having a cup of tea at Promodas to climbing up Matse Chad, to doing the inevitable at the tank, to discussing world politics and economics at the Quadri, roving to an Indian Ocean concert in Milieu. Your college has pretty much been inside me as I have been inside your college. I'm not certain though if much of all that I just mentioned has been cut short for the current batch by the pandemic. You know, it's been a very strange time. This is a pandemic that has made us get used to talking to people in these boxes and also get used to a dress code called suits and shorts that was almost unheard of in a pre-pandemic business world. But, you know, times have changed, and I have to be honest that I have gotten really, really comfortable with doing some storytelling in these seminars and summits from the comfort of my bedroom. I usually start most of my talks with a story, and I don't see a reason why today should be an exception. So let me start with a story. About 35 to 40 years back, a professor of economics was teaching at a university in a country that was in the middle of a famine. He was teaching these elegant economic theories, but the moment he stepped out of class, he would see that people were dying and people were in misery. He wondered if these stories and these theories, economic theories that he was teaching in class were only make-believe stories that could not have any real impact on people. So he decided to go to the village adjacent to his university and see if he could change the life of people, even if it was just a single person. What he did was he abandoned a bird's eye view, essentially a view which helps us see things from the top, from the sky, and adopted a worm's eye view and decided that I am going to help whoever comes in front of me. So he met this woman who was selling these beautiful bamboo stools. And he asked her how much she makes. She said that she is making 2 US pennies a day. On asking her why so little, she said that she didn't have the money to buy the bamboo. So she borrowed some money from a trader under such conditions that almost made her a bonded labor. When he asked her how much these bamboos costed, she said 20 cents. He wondered how only 20 cents could actually put a person in such misery, selling these beautiful things and yet earning such meager profits, probably in fact negligible, nothing. So he went around with a student of his to the village and found 42 other women with similar problems. He decided to lend them some money and ask them to do the work that they are doing and ask them to pay the money back to him after a stipulated period of time. At this point, I would want to stop and I would want to ask the audience if there are any guesses as to who this gentleman is. True story, famous personality. Any hands in the audience? Would love to hear. Yes, that's right, Prithviraj. We also share the same surname. Thanks. So it's nobody else but Nobel laureate, economist, and founder of Grameen Bank, Mohammad Yunus. I love this story for reasons more than one. One being that this is essentially a story that hits the bottom of the pyramid and touches the triple bottom line that has been an essential part of my entrepreneurship journey. And it bridges a gap that lies at the bottom of the pyramid. Another reason why I love this story is because it is a beautiful and absolutely fitting reply to the question that goes like, when did you decide to become an entrepreneur? And I would, in the next few minutes, love to tell you, when did I decide to become an entrepreneur? It was the winter of 2010. I had a statistics exam the next day. I took my phone and I gave a call to my classmate. And I told her, I have the most marvelous business idea. Do you want to be my co-founder? I was 19 years old then. She probed me a bit and asked me what the idea was. And I told her, I don't like products as products. I want products that are gifts with a human connect. To explain it to her, I said, a mug is a mug, but what if it had a beautiful quote from one of my favorite bands, the Beatles? It would mean the world to me and really strike a chord in my heart. What if there was a notebook that had a cover with my favorite Tagore poem on it? What if there was a t-shirt that had a beautiful Satyajit Ray sketch done on it? The point that I was trying to drive home to her was this, that I wanted to build gifts that had a human connect. I don't know if that was the evening before my statistics exam when I decided to become an entrepreneur, or was it 3 years later when everybody was graduating from college and I decided not to opt for a corporate job or to go for a master's in economics and to give Paper Cup a registered legal entity. I did, however, go to a couple of colleges later, but my sole purpose of going to colleges was not to get a paper degree, but to find potential future co-founders, find mentors, and basically to build a network and nothing more than a network. And I believe this purpose was, came to a beautiful and marvelous fruition in my time in Exhilarai Jamshedpur, when I found myself in a class of 50 people who were aspiring entrepreneurs or current business people, and such vibrant energy made me fine-tune the ideas I had for Paper Cup. In 2014, I came back to Calcutta, and I had two needs at that point. One need was I needed an office space for Paper Cup, and the second need was I needed to hire my first employee. For the first need, I took my old parental house and I converted it into my office because nobody was staying there at that point. For the second need, hiring my first employee, I got a young girl who was the daughter of our cook when I was a child. I did not know in the next 6 months of spending time with her, it would open an avenue for Paper Cup that I could consciously not think of. She came from a social strata that was much it was much backward than most of ours. But to give you a history behind what impact she had on me, I have to take you further back to my school days when I was a schoolgirl. I went to a very interesting school. The school I went to under the leadership of Sister S.M. Cyril was heavily invested in social work and social activities. One of the many things that we were doing in school was something called a barefoot teachers training. Stay with me. Barefoot teachers training was something where I was then in probably class 5 or 6, would be sitting with 5 adults who would be coming from different districts of West Bengal. And I would be imparting some lesson plans to them and give each one of them trunks which had books and stationery in it. These 5 individuals would be going back to their respective villages and each teach 50 people. All right. And there were 50 students like me. At that point, I was too young to understand the butterfly effect or the ripple effect or the impact 2 hours a week of my time as a 5th grader could have on the society. But I guess in my cognition and in my behavior and my subconscious, it was very well sedimented. When I met my first employee and spent a lot of time with her, I realized the struggles and the pains that people from the bottom of the pyramid go through. I decided to adopt what I just told to you was Eunice's worm's eye view. And I went around the locality and found girls similar to her. And I found 5 girls, brought them to her and told her, you do and impart training to them what I have been doing with you for the last 6 months. It's been 7 years since then, and I proudly say that Paper Cup is now delivering gifts through our e-commerce website, papercuponline.com, throughout the country, and the system is completely automated and run by these very girls. It gives me immense pleasure to think that the work I chose came out of love and not of necessity or social conditioning, and that has made all the difference in the world. In fact, when anybody asks me what is true success according to me, it's such a subjective thing. I always say, don't touch anything that you don't love. Apart from entrepreneurship, I also used to love and still love and will continue loving a few other things. And one of them is poetry. In the fall of 2015, I was actually looking for an event where I could go and perform some spoken word poetry. And I could not find any. The entrepreneurial gut in me and this bridge, that the gap I saw that I could bridge and the love that I had for poetry ended up establishing and organizing what we call Paper Cup's Poetry Slam events. It's been 5 years since then, and we have hosted 15 slams across the city, the last one being in April this year at the 100-year-old Heritage Building, Oxford Bookstore. Apart from that, apart from poetry, there's also something else that I genuinely love. That is, it starts with the same word P, and that is philanthropy. And for philanthropy, I once again have to take you back to my days in Jamshedpur. There was something called Jamshedpur Joy Fest. So my classmates, under the bigger banner of Joy of Giving Week Danotsav, so my classmates and I went around the colony and collected ration and clothes and came back and segregated them and distributed them to the poor. When I came back to Calcutta, I wanted to do something similar in Calcutta as well. And for that, I got in touch with one of my favorite professors from Auxiliary, Professor Madhukar Shukla. He used to take the social entrepreneurship class there. And I asked him, can you connect me to people in Calcutta so that I can do it in Calcutta? And that's the beautiful power of network. I met some brilliant people here. And for the past 5 years, Paper Cup has been doing its philanthropic activities under the Anutsav, the Joy of Giving Week. And we have worked very closely with orphanages, with old age homes and NGOs. As much as these two things that I really love have found the wings under the Paper Cup banner, our core still remains gifting. And it's true through the vision of the 19-year-old who thought of creating gifts with a human connect. In the last few years, in my travel abroad and across cities, I have seen that there is also something phenomenal called multicultural love or multicultural exchange, diversity. Why not bring something that is also multicultural gifting? To make it easier, I would explain it this way, that we enjoy multi-cuisines from different countries. So we could also enjoy gifts from other countries that celebrate each other's cultures. Like a Scottish boy, a boy from Scotland being so excited about Indian culture, or me finding stark similarities in cities of Portugal with our very own Goa, or me smelling the French air when I walk down Chandanagar. That's the beauty of cross-cultural diversity. And if we could bring that to gifts, that's what the current board of directors of Paper Cup is working with. And we're working very closely with historians, economists, and psychologists to understand the history of gifting, because it goes back to as old as the cavemen. And I would also love to share that we just began our global operations. So we have huge visions and plans of expansion, and inshallah, it's all going well. My intent of sharing my journey, and I'm wrapping up before we open for the Q&A, my intent of sharing my journey is not to convert an aspiring PhD scholar into an aspiring entrepreneur, though there might have been some collateral damage, in which case just make sure your parents and grandparents don't come chasing me, all right? But on a serious note, my intent here was to give hope and a cushion to those people who are similar to the 19-year-old Shomrita, who can dream of entrepreneurship as a conventional and traditional career choice in Bengal. What I want to say is this, that it is a futile exercise for us to host entrepreneurship summits every month or to build entrepreneurship cells in colleges if these very students are going back home and their families are reorienting them to opt for career choices that are more traditional or conventional. Then this is just showbiz. It does not, it's going to be a futile exercise. With that, I would want to end, and I want to go back to the question I asked. When did I decide to become an entrepreneur? And the answer today, ladies and gentlemen, for all of you is this morning. Thank you so much. That's my time.
Lovely, Shomrita, lovely. So thank you for bringing the product with a personal touch in our life. So let's open the floor for Q&A. Can we have, okay, we already have 2, 3, okay. Let's have the first question from Audrijit. Audrijit, will you ask?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, can you just explain us what is the main difference between the conventional entrepreneurship and the social entrepreneurship which you told, right? Because we have seen like Gautam Adani is also an entrepreneur, Mukesh Ambani is also an entrepreneur, but they're certainly not social entrepreneurs because their work has, certainly I don't really feel that their work has any what you told that worm's view, they don't really bear any worm's view, right? Because if you see that Gautam Adani, he is a dropout from the BCom, okay, but he owns so many industries which are good enough to own as any African country, okay, because their total turnover is more greater than the GDP of any African country. But what you told that to end poverty and going on the lines shown by Professor Yunus, we need social entrepreneurship. So can you please tell us what is the main difference between entrepreneurship and traditional entrepreneurship and the social entrepreneurship, and how we can go towards it, or how we can socialize this social entrepreneurship? Shri.
Ajit, that's a very difficult question. And the answer to it is going to be really long. However, I just give you the tip of the iceberg here. If you want to discuss more, you can connect with me on social media, on LinkedIn, and we can take it forward. But the answer for this forum would be, I genuinely believe that terms like social entrepreneurship should not be there, to be honest, even though I use it myself. We are at a point in history where our businesses must be social in nature, where we embrace the triple bottom lines of people, profit, and planet. If any business is not touching all these three, I think it does not even justify being a business. So to me, there is no difference between business and traditional entrepreneurship and social entrepreneurship. There shouldn't be also. Every entrepreneur should actually be social entrepreneur. And even the big names that you took, imagine the number of people employed under them. And it's from different social strata. So what they are doing also is actually a job that is benefiting the society in more ways than one. We are not getting into the negative aspects of a couple of them. Let's not concentrate on that. But any business potentially actually moves on to create employment. And that probably is one of the biggest social work that anybody can do. I hope I answered your question, Ajit.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Next, Shomrita, we have someone from Kathmandu asking you a question. So his question is in the chat box. As there is more unemployment in rural areas among workable youths in India and Nepal, how they are motivated them to come up with the enterprise? So how we can motivate them to come up with the idea of enterprise and entrepreneurship?
Thank you so much for your question, and I hope you're doing well, and give my hello and regards to everybody in Kathmandu. I think, especially with Rimudi here, I find it pertinent because we've been trying to work with Nepal for a long time with Pratimanima Memorial Foundation. And this is the exact thing that we've been trying to do, to create models where people are actually empowered to start their own, they become entrepreneurs themselves. Even in Paper Cup, all of my employees, they are mini entrepreneurs. I do not believe in the concept of having employees in the first place. The only way in which anybody can be in my startup is by owning Paper Cup, is to have the sense of ownership. So I think it comes basically from that a sense of ownership, the sense of wanting to do something for oneself and for others. And the intent matters. The intent leads to impact is what I would ideally say. Thank you.
One or maybe two questions more. First, let's ask Upanita. Upanita?
Thank you, ma'am, for the wonderful, insightful thing that you just shared with us about your journey. My question to you is like, when you just started out, like how difficult was to manage your academics and your business, and like how did a typical day in your life look like when you were just 19 and had just started out?
I was actually, thank you, Upanita. I was actually pretty much a multitasker in college. I was in the debate society. I was doing organizing all these things. I was part of the Young Economist Students Meet in Jadavpur University. I was in fact the chief editor. And Paper Cup at that point was just one of the many things that I was doing, to be honest. And Upanita, to be brutally honest, I did not manage well. I did everything that was outside class really well. And inside class, the professors would hardly ever see me, to be honest. So I am thinking that probably Professor Datta is wondering why did we call this word. But the thing is, but on a serious note, what the point I'm trying to drive home is this, that our studying is not limited to the classroom, right? We can study from the school of the world, right? Nature is a big teacher. So we can just look at nature and we can learn. So it's not a matter of juggling things or multitasking, but it's more a matter of touching things that you love. And then even a day seems like 48 hours and you are so active and doing everything well. So that's my answer to you, Upanita.
One more question. Anushka, can you ask the question?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Good evening. And thank you, ma'am, for the amazing talk. I just wanted to know from your perspective, like when we are starting out, or as even Shukrit sir mentioned, that it's very important to start. When we are starting out, there has to be a process of execution, like giving a base to our ideas and like a setting up a concrete structure so that we can start out our business. So like what should be the process of execution? Like how should we be bridging the gap between our ideas and actually executing them?
Anushka, let me break it for you. This is a department that has had the likes of Amartya Sen and Abhijit Vinayak Banerjee as its ex-students. So I will break it to you and tell you that 90% of the job that you have to do, that everybody in this room who is an aspiring entrepreneur has to do, is with changing and reorienting their mindset. Because the 10% that most people are worried about, like financial projections, your sales, your market research, where we are going, is going to be a cakewalk for people with your IQ. And I'm not saying this sort of to massage your ego or to, I really mean this because I have been in your campus and I know the metal, I know the IQ of your people. So if there's anything that you really need to work on is the EQ, because in Bengal, we are born and brought up glamorizing more conventional career choices, and let them be there. But let's also, to an extent, give entrepreneurship the true, the space where this also seems like something that somebody could opt for, and there would be no stigma associated with it. I'm saying this because I come from a place where I did face a little bit of these things 10 years back. So, and I have a feeling that it's still prevalent. It's still pretty much prevalent. So the 10% that I'm talking about is cakewalk for you guys. Just sit with any mentor. You have such brilliant people in the room. Buzz me up on LinkedIn. I'd help you. So that's not the thing, but come with the 90%. Once you've changed your mindset and you come with the 90% of the work done, 10% is cakewalk.
We are running a little behind time, but still, Shomali, can you just ask the question, but keep it very short? Yes.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, I will. The question I had in mind is how does social entrepreneurship work in tandem with local businesses? Because there is a possibility that a social entrepreneur decides the network effect that you gave us an example of. Somebody chooses to teach a group of 50 students and then the network spreads, but they're teaching, say, technical skills. Now that can pose a risk to local businesses that work using more traditional methods, because there are jobs that go with development. There are certain jobs that no longer exist. So there can be an effect that a social entrepreneur is at risk of wiping out certain local businesses. So how does this work hand in hand as opposed to at loggerheads?
Shumali, very good question, and I have to keep it short because we are running out of time, though I have a lot to say. I believe disruption is an integral part of any timeline of business, if you see it. So things will come and disrupt other things. The point is whether it brings something that is a non-zero sum. What I'm trying to say is when we look at the world, we always think of the world as a zero sum. A lot of people think of the world as a zero sum game where it's a win-lose or a lose-win. You'd be able to understand because I'm talking game theory. Whereas for the last 10 years, all that I have put all my attention in was a non-zero sum progress, where your progress is also positively correlated to my progress. And I think when we concentrate on that win-win situation, we can really change the the business space, and we can creatively think out a way in which these traditional businesses that you're talking about also gain. And maybe you are bringing in a bit of tech or a bit of disruption that is inclusive by nature. So together we have to build more inclusive enterprises, is what my answer would be to your question.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Shomrita, for such lovely talk. Now, before I introduce our next two speakers, I must give a food alert. So if anybody is foodie around here and is looking for the cheesiest and the meatiest and the awesomest pizza in town, then definitely look for Gastro Pizza. Now, these two has been, quite notorious in the class sometimes, but they really know food. So if you're looking for the Durga Puja is coming, lots of food time. So please dig into that. Okay. So, and to introduce Shopal De and Shubhabrata Ganguly, our alumni of the department, we have Anurag Sengupta and Shomustri.
Thank you, ma'am. I hope I'm audible.
Perfectly, perfectly.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Our next panelists are our very own alumni. Founded by Mr. Shopal De and Mr. Shubhabrata Ganguly, Gastro Pizza is one of the most popular food joints in Kolkata. Launched on 26 September 2020, Gastro Pizza started off as a cloud kitchen based in Lake Market. Currently, this startup has 3 outlets in Kolkata. Founder Mr. Shopal De completed his high school graduation from Salt Lake School, Kolkata, and proceeded to complete his bachelor's and master's in economics from Presidency University, Kolkata. He was also a summer intern at State Bank of India. After graduation, Mr. Shopal De worked at Bridge I2I Analytics Solution. He has also work experience as an analyst at HSBC. Soumya.
Over to Shomustri.
Soumya, your mic.
Okay. So Mr. Shubhabrata Ganguly completed his schooling from St. Javier School, Burdwan. He also received his undergraduate and postgraduate degree in economics from Presidency University, Kolkata. He has also been the former president at Presidency University Student Council. He has worked as a business analyst at Bridge I2I Analytics Solutions, as well as an analyst at HSBC. In a market saturated with giant chain corporations, the founders of Gusto have made a mark amidst tough competition by using affordable pricing and creative marketing strategies like quirky engaging social media posts. Despite of being launched amidst pandemic that crippled several businesses, the brand has managed to carve out a loyal customer base. It's a great pleasure to have both of you here.
So over to Shopal and Shubhabrata. Welcome back to Presidency. We can't hear you.
I think there's some audio problem going on at
Yeah,
Shubhabrata's end.
Yeah.
So I feel, first of all, thank you so much for inviting us. Like some 4 years back, we were at the other side of organizing PUYES. And right now, 4 years later, it feels great to be on the other side of the panel. So this is one of those feelings, I think, which we will cherish forever. Returning back to presidency after doing something, I know. But obviously, the feeling is different this time because I think during normal times we would have, taken the stage at the auditorium, one of the auditoriums, and we could have like interacted with the students offline. But during these pandemic times, I think we cannot help. And I think all of us are pretty much acquainted with the online classrooms, or I think in offices, we also take meetings on Zoom or whatever other platforms you all use. So this has become the pretty much new normal, and we have to get adjusted to it. And why I've given the introduction of the COVID times is because we also started this business in Kolkata during COVID times last year. when we were at the peak number of cases, and majority of the food businesses were undergoing losses. So we decided to, uh, change something in our model and enter the food market. And if, like, from the introduction, we have seen one point in common. Me and Shubhabroto have done our graduation and masters from Presidency, so 5 years of that journey is common. We worked for Bridge I2I in Bangalore. We had shared common time out there, and right now also we share our jobs as well in Kolkata and also the business. So I think uh, there was a lot of planning which happened, and everything happened in Bangalore. We will shortly tell you the story how we planned out the things and we executed them. Shubhabroto, if you can also continue on these lines, if your audio system is back.
I don't think Shubhabroto's system is working right now, so he's trying to log in. We would definitely love to hear from you also, Shobal. So if you
Sure.
can just continue.
Sure. So I'll try to share something on the screen. I don't know. Yeah. Just let me know if the presentation is visible.
Yes, absolutely.
It's visible, right?
Yes.
So yes, so right now, before introducing these two creations of ours, let me tell you that me and Shubhabroto, one thing in common, we are both like huge foodies. While in Bangalore, I think we used to spend approximately 30 to 40% of our salary on having like nice food or whatever, and we used to try out a lot of food out there. And one thing which we saw in Bangalore, the food scene was quite different from what we used to have in Kolkata some 4 to 5 years back. And most of the big names there, if we talk about the reputed names, I'm not going to take names here, but obviously we all know about the food scene in the entire country. So they have introduced the system of cloud kitchen, which specializes in, say, 10 different food companies operating from one single kitchen. That has got a lot of advantages. We'll talk about it later on. But from there onwards, we decided that let's bring the concept of cloud kitchen in our venture, and we opened as Crave Raja Foods, which currently owns Gusto Pizza and Burrito Raja. So I think Gusto, you all have had like we sell pizzas and like pastas,
Yeah, hi
chicken
Shopal.
wings. So
Can you hear me
yeah,
now?
perfect.
Very sorry.
Yeah.
Very sorry, everyone. I'll just, I think Shopal took the risk of starting the presentation without me. Thank you, Shopal. Yeah,
I'm
but
sorry.
I was scheduled to start it. So first of all, I'll just tell everyone that we are Crave Raja Foods. Okay. So, and we started as Crave Raja Foods, and we started both the brands. But Gusto garnered more crowd, and we invested more on Gusto. But Burrito is also one of our major products that we have innovated rather. So I didn't listen to Shopal because I was just restarting my laptop. Shopal, can you tell me, did you talk about how we planned it
Yes,
out?
I did talk about the cloud kitchen scene in Bangalore, from where the idea actually came to
Yeah,
our mind as well.
so I'll just ask you to just skip to the next page. If you
Yeah,
can
I
just
will.
full screen and skip to the next page. I'll share. Can you just
Yeah,
stop sharing?
I'll just stop the sharing. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just do that. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, this is perfect. Just wait for 10 seconds. It's getting good. Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. So we started as Crave Raja Foods. What happened was one day after office, so we worked at Bridge I2I. Bridge I2I is a fun and exciting place. Those who got placed, they have asked me after getting in also, how is the place? It's a really exciting place. But after work hours, we used to get very tired because we used to ride on in our cycles. We used to get our own app operated cycles, Yulu bikes. It was a startup there. So that was one of our inspirations, that the Bangalore city was so innovative in everyday life, in everything that we do. The soap we use, the food we eat, the way we travel to everything, Bangalore did innovate somehow or the other. So one day Shopal went home early and I was late. I called him up and he said, why not we do anything like that for our city, for Kolkata? Let's bring innovation to Kolkata. So what I did was I bought some vegetables. I bought mushrooms, chicken, lettuce and everything, and got some flour and asked him to make some tortillas. And I made some fillings and we made shawarma rolls. We made shawarma rolls. He used to roll the dough and everything. He was very good at rolling the dough and making the tortillas. And I used to cook the fillings. And that is how we started. But then what happened was we slowly took it very seriously. I asked him that let's just take the plunge. But what is the difference between maybe other entrepreneurs? Most of them, they'll tell you, take the plunge, which is absolutely true. You cannot be investing yourself 50% to one thing and 50% to other. But what if you can do that? What if you're very good at multitasking? So I'll tell you, if any of you feel that multitasking is your forte, not entrepreneurship, not innovating, nothing, but you can really multitask well efficiently. So if you do two things at a time, you do well in both. You can have that capability, right? So what we did was we chalked out a plan. We thought we're not going to leave our jobs because, trust me, getting an investor in this COVID times, it was tough. And especially for food, where food was, nobody was dining out. Everyone was ordering online. So getting an investor instantly during the lockdown, it is not easy. So what we did, we pulled out a concept that I think Bangalore was very familiar with, but Kolkata was not. The concept is not cloud kitchen exactly, but it's internet kitchen. So what is a cloud kitchen? So a cloud kitchen is a low cost and a very streamlined supply chain and sales channel, and everything is there. But what is the main agenda of cloud kitchen? A cloud kitchen will give you one space, but you can create, you can innovate hundreds of products and you can sell from that space. So example, I guess, Shopal, can you just talk about the example of one of the biggest cloud kitchen chain or the internet kitchen chain that we got inspired by?
Yeah, so basically our main, I think I will take two names here. So I think all of you must have heard about Rebel Foods. So any brand, food brand which you talk about nowadays, like Fasos, Berus, so they all fall under the same concept. And we were also inspired by Box 8, which essentially owns Box 8 and Mojo Pizza. So Mojo Pizza was the best pizza we had in Bangalore, from where we got the idea that you can also create like cloud kitchen concept and you can sell your pizzas online, unlike Pizza Hut, who catered to creating huge dining spaces and selling pizzas. So from there, we got inspired and we tried to open this concept in Kolkata, which is, I think, a decent hit right now, standing at this point of time. So Shubhabrata, over to you.
Yeah, so decent hit. I'll not boast, but we have one franchise and we have 2 outlets. We still operate as a cloud kitchen. We are the 2 outlets in South Kolkata are cloud kitchens, and we clock almost 200 pizzas per day per outlet. So that makes around 600 pizzas per day. And both the cloud kitchen outlets and dining outlets are doing well. So what cloud kitchen gave us as an advantage was, so let's talk about economics here. So I think during our final years of our masters, I used to attend one class very attentively. That was of Gagori ma'am, because she used to teach us about investment, stocks, portfolios and everything. So what we thought that portfolio diversification, which many of you will study and many of you will, even if you, I think there is a huge surge of Bitcoin apps right now, right? You'll find not Bitcoin, cryptocurrency apps. So what they tell you is diversify your portfolio. So what we did was, what Cloud Kitchen lets you do is diversify your portfolio. So I have South Kolkata, we have a 250 square foot kitchen. So that kitchen sells around 50,000 a day. But how? How does it do it? Because we have two brands that helps us. So burrito is a risky product. Why? Because Kolkata people won't like bhat roti ekshate, right? That is one feedback we got, that burritos are basically Mexican rice with different kinds of meat flavors, caramelized onions, and different other secret stuff that we won't tell you, that you'll have to eat and figure it out yourself. So what burritos did was, we asked people, would you like burritos? They said, I don't know, bhat roti ekshate. But it is basically not. It is much more than that. And so it was a risky product. So first 3 to 4 months, we hardly sold 10 to 12 burritos per day. But pizza, when we come to pizza, there are people who are competing with us. But the thing is, you will find 100 places selling pizzas, but you will find only 3 places selling only pizzas. So that is where the advantage is. You market your product. You market the product. You don't market the cuisine, always. That doesn't mean you don't market like chow mein, mainland China. They market the cuisine too. That is also successful. I am not like undermining any other than that. But if you want to market a product, it's easier, I feel. It's easier for Domino's to market their pizzas only, right? Since I'm not a professional chef, neither is Shopal, it's easier for us just to focus on one product. We researched on pizzas day in, day out. We researched on burgers, we researched on everything. Me and Shopal, so for 70 days, me and Shopal was locked down in Bangalore for 70 days. I was locked down in Kolkata for 70 days in a home. We just planned the whole thing out. We set the temperature for pizzas, at what temperature, what time, where do we source our bacon, where do we source our chicken, everything. We did it from our home, just on calls. We hired chefs on call. We called them to my house. I have a 40 square feet kitchen. So I called them here, we tested them, and then we decided on pizzas, and finally pizza brought us success. Shopal, can you talk about scalability now? How scalability
Yes,
works
I
in a
think
cloud kitchen?
if you are studying in the economics department and you haven't heard of scalability, then I think fundamentally you all are wrong. So first things first, we hear the word scalability right in our very first year of our economics course in the graduation. So scalability is important. I think first of all, we started out with shawarmas. We always thought that like shawarma was a product, but somewhere down the line we realized that even if we sell 300, 400, 500 shawarmas in the day, scalability was something which was not at all achievable. Pizza is one product. Using the same set of machinery, same set of like every facility you have, you can create literally 100 types of pizzas at like and 100 types of pizzas and like n number of pizzas to your extent as per your working hours. So the idea of scalability is important in any kind of business, and that should be the fundamental point where you should start. That is one thing. I think quick setup is something which is very important in the business. If the setup takes a lot of time, that I think is a bit risky because you do not know the results that will come out of your setup at the end of the day. That is one thing. Importance of internet cloud kitchens, location doesn't matter. You can start your kitchen anywhere and everywhere. You then don't need to open an outlet at the heart of Park Street in Kolkata. You can open literally at the base of your home if you have a proper setup, and you can do your business. So that is fundamentally how we work. I think the first outlet we have is in a place called Porosha Road, which is just behind Lake Mall. So that is basically a commercial space, but like that commercial space, I think in 3 years, 7 businesses changed their hands. And like when we were taking up that space, someone from the neighborhood said that you guys would also leave this place in 3 months. And like after 1 year, when we meet that person, we said that we are still here because our concept is location doesn't matter. We can do business anywhere if the audience is there in the vicinity of that place. And obviously focus on creating the brand. I think our customers will always know that we like give attention to the smallest detail possible, starting from the design of the packaging to our products to our marketing. We'll definitely come up with the pointers one by one, but every focus that needs to go into the portion cup in order to create that brand, we do that. So I think we have achieved a fair amount of it, but obviously it's a long way to go. And in future, obviously in the next 2 to 3 years, we want to follow the same track, and let's see where we can actually reach. So Shubhabroto, over to you.
Yeah. Okay, so we have already talked about the low cost model, right? So low cost. So I'm very sorry that we are going very technical, but I think this whole panel completes the whole aspect of entrepreneurship. Um, uh, like Shomrita, I really loved her comment on every entrepreneurship is a social venture because you are employing someone who is in need. So that is the first time we fell in love with this work because it was last Durga Puja, October, was literally our first month. We started late September. So we had the first 4 chefs. We had only 4 chefs. We asked them that, give us 3 months of your time. And we also said that not only you, we will be also investing all 3 months of our time. You will be paid very less, maybe not even the amount that you can send to your family to sustain. But give us 3 months, we will pay you back. So those 4 chefs, 3 of them are still there with us. One of them has left. So that is how we started. We started, and because they didn't have a job, they lost their job 6 months ago, but they were very talented. So the first time we paid them from the amount we garnered by selling our food, we felt really good. That is where we thought that we really like it because we are happy when we are giving them the money. So basically nobody's happy when you give your money to someone else, right? But we felt really happy. We felt really happy that we are paying them in a time that they're in need. So that is where it gave us the push and we went full throttle. So let us go back to the technicalities. I guess since we are just pass outs and I think the students also need some technical knowledge of how we progress through it. So focus on the product, as I said. Packaging. Packaging is really important in the cloud kitchen because nobody is seeing your interiors. Nobody is seeing anything else other than your logo and how you're sending your food to them. So make it attractive. Invest on your packaging. Third is marketing. So you're packaging well, good. But how do you show them what you're selling? Your presence is just 2 signboards behind Lake Mall and 2 signboards in a house under Santoshpur and Salt Lake. Now we have a good location, but otherwise nowhere we are visible, right? So marketing, social media. Spend on social media. If you are a good designer yourself, you save cost. If you're not like us, we are not good designers. We have good thoughts. We plan the designs. We have friends who help us plan the designs. And we do have an outsourced team who charge a bit, but we do invest on marketing because we don't have to pay for the AC or we don't have to pay a huge rent for our location. So we save there. So next is power of data. I guess Shopal, can you talk about how we crunched numbers to realize that pizza is our product and everything else can come in future?
Yes. So I think essentially every business should focus on giving importance to the data it is actually collecting, because data has got answers to all the questions you are looking for in a business right now. And in like, even if you talk about big startups like say Cred or whatever, the essence of the very foundation of these startups is data. And like in future, even if they are valued at some point, in 10, like whatever, 5 years, 7 years, once the data actually booms into the picture, it will become very, very powerful. So I think we realized the importance that of data. Being in the field of analytics also, we know the basic techniques of analyzing our data, what questions to ask our data, and how to find answers to that. So first thing, first rule of any business, if you're starting with a very low capital, low budget, low resources, try to find the relevant answers from the data that you're collecting. That is the first thing. Second is, I think, projection. Data helps you understand what kind of decisions you're going to take maybe in the next 6 months, standing at this point of time. So I think whatever, let's say, for example, managing supply chain or managing your finances, managing anything, how many chefs even you would need during the Durga Puja, even basic answers, basic questions will be answered through data itself. So that projection should essentially come from whatever data you're collecting from the customers, R by R sales, product wise sales, at what, like, whatever data you can collect from your business. And most importantly, I think working on financial data is important, because neither me nor Shubhabroto, we don't hail from really rich families. We haven't taken a single penny from our families to start this business. Whatever we have saved from our jobs, whatever liabilities, within our limit we could raise from the market, we essentially took that and we started this business. So every penny is essential for running this business even today. And when we started, the amount of financial planning that went into completing the entire puzzle, that actually helped us understand that if we do not analyze the financial data of the business, we are going to bleed out money very fast.
Exactly.
So very
Exactly.
important, I think, for all the students of our department and anyone who aspires to be a future entrepreneur, please work on your financial data and understand the importance of leveraging the power of the data.
Exactly. So, as Shopal said about finances, I know people will have the base questions. Young minds, we also, when we were on the other side, we had the same question. How did you finance? We don't have any money. How do we start, even if we need 50,000? How do we? So, how do it? So pizza. So we got investment. How do we get investments? We sold our idea. We sold our idea not to the investors. So what generally people do, sell their ideas to the investors. We didn't have that much time. We wanted to open as early as possible. We sold our ideas to the vendors. We just sold them the idea that give us 3 months, give us the machines, give us the raw materials. In 3 months, we'll pay you back with some amount of interest or anything you want. After 3 months, we were ready to open the second outlet. The vendor said that it's okay, you're giving me business again. So I think your potential is there. You'll give me regular business. You promise me that. You promise me that you'll be giving us regular business. No need to pay any interest. So we bailed out. So this is something you don't plan. You don't plan. You take the plunge here, I'll tell you. Take the plunge here, go in the market, ask people around, I have this idea. I am not asking you to invest. Give me time. If you give us time, I'll pay you back in this. This is my idea. That is how you sell it. And one more thing we did was we researched on all kinds of data like reviews, and we checked at timings. So what we used to do, we used to open a Zomato page or a Swiggy page, and we used to open it around 2 o'clock at night. And we used to see which product is available and which is not. Somehow, you will still find it today. Pizzas are not available after 1 a.m. After 1 a.m., Domino's is shut, Oven Store is shut, but nobody is there selling good pizzas. So what do? We said, let's go full throttle after 1 o'clock till 4:30. So we are open from 11 a.m. till 4:30 a.m. now. So so people started knowing us after 1 a.m. And I know Kolkata doesn't party late, but it does stay up and watch football matches or anything. After 1 o'clock, Domino's is there at some places, but generally you won't find good pizzas at all places in Kolkata. But you'll find us after 1. So that is what the market lacked. So what the market lacks means, where are the opportunities? Pork on pizzas. the market lacked. Nobody sells pork on pizzas except some one or two places they do sell. I know, I have had them, but not a brand specifically selling pork on pizzas. Even McDonald's doesn't sell hamburgers. Chicken hamburgers is there. It's blasphemous. There's nothing called a chicken hamburger. Okay. So similarly, you'll have to find which market is there, can be tapped. Even 1% of tapping incentive is there. Go in. That 1% is enough to grow. Okay. So next, I guess we have innovation. I think Shopal will talk about the supply chain management, and I'll talk about the innovation first. So innovation, how we go about tech innovation in a cloud kitchen. So a cloud kitchen is a very technologically advanced space. If you want to manage it all over a city, how do we do it? There are platforms, there are usage of applications and usage of basic analytical skills. So what do we do? We take all our products. We have inch perfect measurement of each product ingredient, and we have a simulator which gives us the end of the week requirement for stocks. That is how we manage stocks. That is how, and sales. How do we manage sales? Basic statistical interpolation we do, and basic external factors like different kinds of festivities and others. We incorporate that, and we always do a 3-month, 6-month, and a 1-year projection. And by God's grace, we always got a 5%. We got our results perfectly in a 5% error. So it worked. So that education always helped us. So, and innovation in products, we tried. We have a large cheese bus, which you'll not find in Domino's or anywhere. We have a large pizza, 13-inch pizza, which is filled with cheese completely. So what we tried was, let's go about changing the flavor of cheese. So we tried with chipotle cheese, we tried with spicy cheese. And then I guess me and Shopal and one of my friend also, we tried cooking chicken wings with different fruit flavors. And somehow that worked wonders. That worked like spicy pineapple and spicy mango wings is a crowd favorite right now. I don't know if any of you have tried. I know Shashwati ma'am has tried our pizza. I don't know about the wings, but that is one of our innovations that really worked.
Yes, I did with the mango one. Yes.
You did, right? Yeah. So Shopal, can you talk about the supply chain, which is the most important thing to keep the consistency of your products, which is the most important thing when it comes to the product?
Sure. So I think, first of all, from a cost aspect, why you need to maintain a very good supply chain is because maybe your vendors are not sitting here right beside your shop. They are maybe located some 15 kilometers away from your location, and you have to get every raw material from that vendor. Let's say, for example, starting from a packet of salt to like even some sauces. So now why supply chain is important is because if you do not have a proper supply chain, proper planning, proper stock management system, then obviously every time you fall short of, say, a packet of salt, you won't go 15 kilometers to that vendor and get that thing to your restaurant. So having a proper stock management plan in place and a proper supply chain management, which is like managed very efficiently through software and like whatever techniques you can use, is very, very important. That is the first thing. Second thing is supply chain. Like, since like we started with one, but we expanded to 3 places, inter outlet supply chain is also important, because at 2 a.m. in the morning, if one of my outlets is, say, running out of cheese, I cannot just shut that outlet because like we are not able to provide cheese. So obviously having everything in place, in plan, and obviously not running here and there to manage the whatever raw materials or stocks is something which is very, very important. So whenever you're opening any food business, please plan your supply chain, please plan your vendors first, chalk out a plan with them as to these days I'm going to take materials from you. Keep some space in your outlet, in your storage, whatever facility, store those products which runs out very fast. So plan those things out, plan a proper supply chain, inter-outlet transfers, vendor to outlet transfers, and obviously things will definitely work out fine. Obviously, this is something which cannot be achieved perfectly in the first 6 months, but I think since we are now 1 year old, we have sort of a 95% accurate plan, which is like which helps us save a lot of cost. So that directly goes into our profits. So if you can move on to the next slide.
Shubho, can you mute your? Okay, now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are
Okay.
running a little
So
short
I
of
think
time,
marketing,
so if
yeah.
you can wrap up a little bit. Yes.
Yeah, but so we'll wrap up as early as possible now. Okay,
Yeah,
marketing.
so marketing, yeah. Please.
So marketing is an important part, as I said. How do we do it? We do a trendy topic post now and then. So that's how we make it trending. So always think about something, how you can trend your product. It's not in your hands, obviously, but you can obviously catch up with the trend, and that is how marketing works. And use your logos everywhere, show what you sell, and yeah, that is how you engage people. And so we are almost to the end. So our vision, let's talk about our vision. We want to be the multi-brand internet kitchen, but how? We want to explore unexplored areas like the tier 2 cities, the fringe markets, Bardhaman, Asansol, Bhubaneswar, Ghaziabad, and then to the metro cities. So that is one thing. I guess that is an untapped market, and that is how we can become the multi-brand internet kitchen pan India and not just the metro cities. And I guess just being in the metro cities makes you a very myopic brand, even if you're doing well. And I don't think, and if in for the social entrepreneurship interest, if you have, go to the tier 2 cities. There is a market. There is nothing called that people there don't eat pizzas. No, they don't get it at an affordable price, or they don't get it near them. Yeah. And creating concepts that are unheard of. And I guess I will not tell our concepts that we have, but surely we are thinking about developing tools or developing things that will help kitchens run in a smoother way. So Paul, can you just
yeah, sure.
finish it up?
Just adding to the last point, I think we visit tier 2 cities a lot of, like, definitely a lot of our R&D nowadays goes into finding out the right place for our next outlet. So just to mention here, Shubhabrata knows the plan. So I was supposed to visit Bhubaneswar today in order to like search for some opportunities, but because like 1st October we got invited to this, so I rescheduled it to a later date. So that's how we are planning right now for the future expansion. And yeah, obviously, talking about the future plans, we already have introduced Burrito Raja, which is very, very uncommon to the Kolkata market. Burritos is something which are not very popular in Kolkata, but we still experimented with burritos. And at the same point of time, we experiment with our pizzas a lot. So that is the first thing, introducing fast food cuisines, which are very, very uncommon. Tier 2 cities, we have already mentioned. Innovating kitchens also, we have already talked about a lot. How do we actually function? And obviously exploring the use of analytics, usage of data, leveraging the power of data in our business. So I think all of these pointers are ticked from our side, but
Yeah,
we just want to use
yeah.
it in a better
Just
manner.
one more thing to add, that this is the first kitchen that we have. So we
Yes.
started with 4 people. Now we have 34 people and a area manager, so 35 people with us. And one more thing I forgot to mention when we started. So when we got introduced, used to work at this company or this company. We still work at HSBC, and we used to work 18 hours a day. We used to finish our shift of 9 hours in our office, and we used to deliver pizzas on our bikes. He took his dad's bike. I got my own bike, and we used to deliver pizzas because we didn't have so many sales channels. We used to deliver pizzas after office from 7 to late night, and used to come back home, and we loved that. And yeah, now we don't have to deliver. We have our own website. We have our own delivery fleet. We have our own staffs and everyone. And yeah, so this is a picture of the first outlet, and I guess you'll see happy faces of staffs, and nothing is better than staffs being happy. And yeah, so that is how we receive our happiness, and that is much more than money. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much. Great story. The first time the feeling is good where we can see your presentation and don't have to grade you. Okay. Since we're over time, I'll just take one question. Just one. Yes. Anyone? Udita is there. Yes. Udita, please.
Sir, thank you so much for your wonderful presentation. I had a genuine question. You talked about how a smooth supply chain is extremely important to a business, but you all started in the middle of a pandemic where like companies went bankrupt due to broken supply. So how did you keep like your supply chain running smoothly during uncertain lockdowns?
So I think this is a very good question. So obviously we had our plans in place, but at the same point of time, when in the middle of the night also like say we have to get something, okay, and maybe the store is just closing, like our vendor is just closing, maybe say 9 o'clock in the night, either of us will go in a bike in order to get that thing to the outlet, because otherwise we won't be able to operate for the next 4 hours. So I think we also had to like work hard a lot, using our own bikes, using our own facilities, what we could have got. But obviously, I would say our vendors initially gave us a
Yeah.
lot of support. So
Even vendors, if you see, whenever there is a scarcity in the market, right? So whenever people are not ordering from the vendors, so many kitchens were going bankrupt and shutting down. So the vendors were like, we are not getting orders. Give us orders so that we can deliver it to you. So vendors were more supportive. So when we tell the vendors that we have started something, will you deliver it for free? Will you deliver it on a regular basis for free? Because we don't have that much money. Will you deliver it? Will you deliver 5 kilos of chicken every day? They are ready to do it because they are not getting avenues to sell. So that is one opportunity we grab. So whenever there is a downturn in the situation, there is also a light at the end of tunnel, right? And you'll have to find the positives there. Stay positive that way. You'll obviously find your answers there.
Thank you, Shubhabrata. Dr. Sidgil from Kathmandu wants to congratulate you all, and he actually is asking you all to open a chain or a branch in Nepal. Actually,
we'll get in touch definitely.
Yeah,
Sure.
hopefully that will come true. So we come to the end of the session of this event, and to convey a vote of thanks, I would request Dr. Rimu Choudhary.
Thank you, Shashwati. In this era of pandemic, when we are all confined in our homes, these sessions have really freshened up our minds. We are really thankful to all our honorable speakers who take some time out of their busy schedule and for sharing their experiences with us. It would be immensely beneficial for those who always wanted to do something on their own. It would really help those who wish to blend academics with entrepreneurship, and of course, who do not take entrepreneurship as a compulsion, but rather as a way to nurture and express their intrinsic innovativeness. So we would like to thank all of our participants, and we sincerely hope that we shall be meeting once again in the coming years too. So thank you all.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
Thank you.
Wonderful experience, having our students, having new persons here, wonderful. Rimu, Shukrit, and Shamrita, along with Shubhabrata and Shopal. Yes, really, we enjoyed the sessions. Thank you once again.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all so much. So we can close the session now. Thank you all.
Now close the session. Right. Thank you. So, thank you once again.